The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life, and it all begins with the radical act of accepting who you are in this moment. And that is the thought for today. This episode of 7 Good Minutes is being sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough: men's mental health. There's so much pressure on men to be strong, provide, keep it together, and never show when something feels heavy. But here's the truth. Strength isn't about bottling things up. It's about having the courage to speak up. Each year, 6 million men in the U.S. experience depression, and many go undiagnosed. If you're feeling the weight of it all, you're not alone. Talk to someone, a friend, a family member, or a licensed therapist. Because real strength starts with taking that first step. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, with over 35,000 therapists and more than 5 million people served. It's convenient, flexible, and fits into your schedule. And if you want to switch therapists, you can do that anytime. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. And today, 7 Good Minutes listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/7goodminutes. That's better, HELP.com/7goodminutes. Welcome to 7 Good Minutes. I'm Clyde Lee Dennis. Thanks for joining me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. In today's episode of 7 Good Minutes, we talk about the life-changing art of self-love. Enjoy. There's a quiet revolution happening in the hearts of people everywhere, and it begins with a simple yet profound shift in how we see ourselves. It's the moment when we stop waiting for permission to love who we are and start embracing the beautiful, imperfect, wonderfully human person looking back at us in the mirror. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why self-love isn't selfish but essential, and you'll have practical tools to begin nurturing a kinder, more accepting relationship with yourself starting today. Self-love often gets misunderstood in our culture. Some people think it means being narcissistic or self-absorbed, while others believe it's something you earn only after you've fixed all your flaws. But true self-love is neither of these things. It's the foundation upon which all healthy relationships are built, starting with the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Think about how you speak to your closest friend when they're struggling. You probably offer compassion, understanding, and gentle encouragement. You remind them of their strengths and help them see past their temporary setbacks. Now, consider how you speak to yourself in similar moments. If you're like most people, there's likely a stark difference. We often become our own harshest critics, using language we'd never dream of using with someone we care about. This internal dialogue shapes everything: how we show up in relationships, how we pursue our goals, how we handle challenges, and how we experience joy. When we're constantly at war with ourselves, we're fighting an exhausting battle that drains our energy and limits our potential. Self-acceptance doesn't mean settling for mediocrity or giving up on growth. It means acknowledging where you are right now, without harsh judgment, while still moving toward where you want to be. It's the difference between saying, "I'm terrible at this and I'll never get better," and saying, "I'm learning and every step forward matters." Consider Sarah, a woman who spent years believing she wasn't worthy of love because of mistakes she'd made in her past. She carried shame like a heavy backpack, letting it influence every decision and relationship. The turning point came when she realized that her past didn't define her worth. It was simply part of her story. She began practicing self-compassion, treating herself with the same kindness she'd show a friend facing similar struggles. This shift didn't happen overnight, but gradually, she noticed how differently she moved through the world when she wasn't constantly fighting herself. One of the most powerful practices in developing self-love is learning to separate your worth from your performance. Your value as a human being isn't determined by your achievements, your appearance, your bank account, or how others perceive you. These things may fluctuate throughout your life, but your inherent worth remains constant. This doesn't mean we ignore areas where we want to grow or improve. Instead, we approach change from a place of love rather than self-criticism. When we're motivated by self-love, we make choices that honor our well-being. We set boundaries not because we're being difficult, but because we recognize our own value. We pursue goals not to prove our worth, but to express our potential. The practice of self-love also involves learning to forgive yourself for past mistakes. We all carry regrets, moments we wish we could handle differently, words we wish we could take back. But holding on to these regrets serves no one. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or pretending mistakes didn't happen. It means releasing the grip these experiences have on your present moment and choosing to learn rather than punish yourself endlessly. Another crucial aspect of self-love is learning to celebrate your uniqueness rather than trying to fit into someone else's mold. In a world that often pressures us to conform, embracing what makes you different becomes an act of courage. Your quirks, your perspective, your way of seeing the world, these aren't flaws to be hidden, but gifts to be shared. Self-love also means honoring your needs and feelings without apology. It's okay to need rest when you're tired, to feel sad when you're grieving, to ask for help when you're struggling. These aren't signs of weakness, but expressions of your humanity. When you honor these needs, you're not being selfish. You're being responsible for your own well-being, which ultimately allows you to show up more fully for others. The journey towards self-love isn't always smooth. There will be days when old patterns of self-criticism resurface, when you catch yourself being unkind to the person in the mirror. This is normal and part of the process. The goal isn't perfection, but progress, not constant self-love, but increasing moments of self-compassion. Start small. Notice when you're being self-critical and gently redirect that voice. Ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Practice speaking to yourself with that same kindness. Celebrate small victories. Acknowledge your efforts even when results aren't perfect. And remember that you're worthy of love and acceptance exactly as you are right now. As you begin to embrace this art of self-love, you'll notice something beautiful happening. The energy you once spent fighting yourself becomes available for creating, connecting, and contributing to the world around you. You'll find that loving yourself doesn't make you selfish. It makes you more generous, because you're no longer operating from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. The art of self-love and acceptance isn't a destination you reach, but a practice you cultivate daily. Each moment offers a new opportunity to choose kindness over criticism, acceptance over judgment, love over fear. And in making these choices, you're not just transforming your own life. You're contributing to a world that desperately needs more love, starting with the love you give yourself. That does it for today's episode of 7 Good Minutes. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, let's be civil to one another out there. Thanks for listening.